Hey, welcome into Caller ID, where life, career, and identity meet. I'm B. Davis Wells. Every week, we uncover the stories behind the titles and the identities that outlast them. Your work matters, but it doesn't define who you are. Let's answer the call.
The responsibility that you have being in the position that I've been in as a director, a lot of times as the only Black director or only Black face that somebody, only other Black face, I should say, that somebody may see on a crew or whatnot. And just the responsibility of how you carry yourself, if you can help somebody else out, paying it forward, just all those things just in general. And then just knowing that no matter what anybody says, that there are, even when you think that there's not, there's always eyes on you from anybody. It could be anybody down to the janitor at the arena, to the highest executive or the most random person, a runner.
And I say that because I think a lot of decisions God leaves up to us. He says, hey, pick something that honors me. If it's glorifying to me, that's great. What you do, how you use the gifts and talents, I don't care. Just make sure you're honoring me. For me, this was one where I would say, had I not pursued this, I would have had just an unsettling spirit within me.
If you had told me this is what my life was going to look like when I started college, there's just no way this is what I'm doing. And the confidence that I have in myself now, professionally, especially because I had not really had any of those professional experiences before, there's so much growth when I look back on that time.
And I think you touch on something that's important for folks out there that might be either in college or getting ready to go to college, or not necessarily going to college, but in that age range, to think about how to not just go to class or go to work and go home, but to find those people like a Courtney Farver and like the person at Skill Specialty that you know are going to pour into you, and being open to that. That's something that I think Gen X, my generation, did not have a ton of people that were willing to mentor us. What shaped you maybe early on that you think still shows up in your work today?
I would say, ironically, I would say failure. Failing at things and having things go wrong and reacting to them and then judging that reaction later, like assessing that reaction later. Hey, we got there. We got to the finish line. We got on the air, or we got to the end of the game, but it didn't go as planned. How did we get there? One of the biggest things besides failure is kind of swallowing your pride. It's a big ego-driven business, as many businesses are. A day trader has an ego, and a TV producer has an ego, right? Yeah. And as you go through things, you have to swallow that.
At the start of a journey, you don't know what's going to make money necessarily or what serves society, but I have held very strongly each step of the way to who am I and what is the greatest expression of who I am and who I want to become and who I want to be. But people in other careers that are less conventional may be starting into an expression of that without knowing how that's ultimately gonna pan out making money, but end up finding as they become really good at something, oh, here's an area of need that they're now able to see more because they know the space. This idea that it all needs to be lined up at the beginning. Not that you're necessarily saying that's how it should be, but I do think that's the way a lot of people think about what to do in their careers, instead of starting with who are you and what's your purpose.
My dad always said, and one of the things he taught me when I was young was life is full of trade-offs, and you have to know which trade-offs that you're willing to make. And you don't need my validation on your life decisions, but I would just say there's a lot of wisdom in your discernment and the way you've gone about that.
I enjoy family. That's more important to me than basketball. And that's why I'm like, I'm not 1,000% in.
Yeah.
You see it with some of these other coaches that they're great coaches.
Yeah.
And I don't know what family life they have.
Yeah.
But I'd rather be a great father and a great husband and a Christian than be a great basketball coach. Okay.
I've had to go and say, okay, is that restlessness necessarily of the Lord? Sometimes it's not. I don't want to so push it away that I act like restlessness means nothing. And I always go back to St. Augustine. So here's a 4th century Christian theologian. And he says in his Confessions, he says, you, meaning God, because he's writing this to God, you have prepared us for yourself, and our hearts are restless. until they find their rest in you. And so for me as a Christian, an essential part of calling is listening to my life, but also through the power of community and the Spirit, listening to what does God say about your life.
It comes with making mistakes, but learning from those mistakes. And I tell my girls all the time, it's not about what happens and you get knocked down, but it's what happens when you pick yourself up from that opportunity. What happens? How do you pick yourself up? How do you move forward? Because that's really how you're judged.
For some of us, it has taken us a long time to figure out what that looks like, because
you're not taught growing up to pursue your passion. Or not even your passion, or the things that you find fulfilling. I mean, if that was the case, I wouldn't have taken English in high school. I don't find that fulfilling, but I was told I had to be a good student. And to be a good, productive citizen, you have to go to college, or whatever these prescriptive things are.
But the path is never linear, and you've said it. Like, you've done a bunch of different things and still hopefully have a lot of life left to live and a lot of things to do. And I think the idea that there's one role or one path.
No, there isn't.
Is false.
And the same thing is, I don't think there's one purpose either.
I don't think so either. That's where
I would say you will succeed if you choose to succeed. And I would say once a person accepts that and they want to succeed in whatever aspect it might be, whether it's your relationship with your significant other, your kids, your work, I don't care what it is. When you say, I am going to make the necessary changes that it takes to be successful, I promise you that it will happen. And the success you were asking me about in my life, when I made that decision to stop drinking alcohol, what happened? My relationship with my wife got better, my kids, my career, work, level head at 8:04 in the morning.
That, I think, built in me a lifelong commitment to pay it forward, because other people provided that funding that made it possible for me to have a game-changing education. And so I have always agreed that if I had fun, time, talent, and treasure is what I call it.
Yes, I love that phrase. Yes.
I'm going to use it to help others. And so the time I can do in mentoring, the talent that I can provide in teaching, and then treasure if I have things. I have an endowed scholarship at my alma mater, Texas Tech, and I very much believe in giving back. And so for me, the mentoring is the opportunity to pour into others and help them see their potential, like many people did for me, including getting my college degree.
I've always thought that if I do like Kobe Bryant, like if I leave it all out there, I don't hold anything back. Kobe Bryant always impressed me that he never held anything back ever, not ever. And I realized if I could translate that into my professional work, then the money would come, right? People, to get a job, to get a tenure track job today, and even when I started out about 20 years ago, you really have to be the best. And you have to be lucky as well. And I figured I could control that variable, and that's where faith came in.
The conversation is what brings people back. There's days I'll look at my list of clients and be like, today's going to be amazing. We'll pick up right where we left off in the last conversation. I know what their dogs' names are. I know what projects are that are working on the house, what traumas they're going through. There's some days where someone's celebrating, getting ready to be married, and then someone's getting ready to go to a funeral. The emotional roller coaster, it's a lot, but I love it. And just learning about the human experience is what keeps me going to work and loving it.
I said, why do you want to do that? And he said, I have realized about myself that it's really important that I have a lot of money. So I need to get this degree so that I can get a different job where I can make a lot of money.
The first thing I've told people every time I do career coaching with folks is the most important thing is to know yourself. And if you don't know yourself, then you don't know what you want and what's important and how to set your values and figure out, all right, I don't know what I want. If you want money and that's high on your list, okay, you need to know that.
You make different choices.
You make different choices. Yeah.
I feel like as educators, we have the opportunity to have an impact on our students who then in turn can have a great impact on all the people in their lives.
Yes, what was stopping me? And I said, I just can't picture myself, going back to what we talked about before, I can't picture myself being a pastor of a church for the next 30 years. And he's like, that's stupid. God is asking you to be obedient in the next step, not the 30th step. And he's like, what is God asking next? And it's like, probably to apply. And if he says, okay, and then if you apply and you don't want to do it, you can get out. Like this, nothing is permanent. So that consolidating that or reducing the monstrosity of another career change and going to get another degree, distilling it down to one bite at a time.
You understand your purpose isn't later. Your purpose is now. What you do with your life now matters. And that's what the earthquake taught me, that tomorrow is not promised. And so you have today. Even today is not promised. You have that very instant moment to really know, what do I do with that life that God has given me, that opportunity He's given to me? What do I want to do with it? And so I think that's what that earthquake had taught me. Your purpose is now. Tomorrow is not promised. That's for sure.
There's that idea, and also the idea of work is a form of worship. So there is prayer in the traditional sense, where you go to a mosque or synagogue or temple or church, right? You pray. But also there's the worship that you embody through the work that you do. And I think that it comes from the idea of being conscientious of a higher being. Again, it ties well with the idea of satisfaction. You're really deeply internally happy with what you've done.
If you love doing something, if you have figured out in your lifetime, no matter how old you are, what your heart kind of pines for, and I always tell people, you're passionate about something when while you're doing it, you lose track of time. You have no idea what time it is. You're like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for 3 hours. I thought it was 10 minutes. That's the way I feel when I'm talking with students, when I'm helping them overcome issues.
I wish someone told me that you don't know what people are struggling with. So you should always assume positive intent. Let them prove you wrong, but don't go in with a negative thought, because that will impact your whole conversation, your whole interaction. Go in positive, assume positive intent, and then it just will end up being a more positive interaction.
Did this and I did this and I did this. And at one point, I'll never forget it, you said, Sarah, you are a human being, not a human doing. And I was like, no, I have to prove myself. I have to prove my worth. And I think that was the hardest lesson from that season of our lives together for me, was setting down the primary identity of production and earning my worth through significance all of the time, and seeing that my life is worth it just because I exist, because I am who I am and I am loved, and that is enough. And I don't have to do anything to earn that love.
I think focusing on those small victories or small wins is so critical for us, because we tend to look past the present into the future. And I was just learning about delayed happiness, which is never really going to happen. I just heard this term, delayed happiness. If you're waiting for this to happen, then you'll be happy.
Yeah, no, that's part of, I think, my journey is learning that. And I think because of Eckhart Tolle, is all we've got is this present moment. Can't change anything in the past. I'm not going to be able to predict what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't even have tomorrow. I have this moment. And so whatever I'm doing in this moment is what needs to bring me my joy.
Hey, thanks so much for watching and listening. 25 episodes in season 1. We're just about to kick off season 2. This was just a little highlight show. If you liked what you saw and heard, go back, check them out, follow, subscribe, share. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube with full-length video going forward. We had a few at the end of the season that we did. But that's it. Thanks a lot.